Hey guys, Rhys from Big Res Rollin Smoke. Hope you're all enjoying your Sunday. We are. I've got my doing things hat on, and my buddy's picked up a couple of nice top end mud crabs that we're going to be cooking up for him. I've got a homemade Thai style marinade that I've made previously. So we've got some palm sugar, some chili, coriander root, fish sauce, a few other good bits and pieces. We might do a recipe on that at some point. That'll be our marinade, and then we're going to be smoking them on the Yoder Smoker YS640. So now you're going to need a nice heavy knife to get through the mud crab shell. It's nice and strong. I used to do a lot of these when I was an apprentice at Flying Fish Restaurant in Sydney. They taught me a lot of good stuff there with seafood, especially crabs and crays. So obviously these ones have been frozen down, so they're not going to take my fingers off, which is great, but we're going to remove that string. Now I've also got a little bit of clean salted water here that I'll put the pieces in, just give them a little wash off. Mud crabs, these are pretty clean already. But they do carry, different bacteria and stuff. They live in the mud, so we'll give them a little wash over before we marinate them. Now, first step in getting the mud crab apart is you're going to take that tail down, and you can see all the gills here. This is the filtration system that they use to breathe. We call them dead man's fingers. If you eat them, you can get very, very sick because it's basically all the crud that gets filtered. So you can see there, pretty gross. There's the poop chute. So all we're going to do is get a good firm grip behind here, thumb under, and we're going to pull down, and the whole shell is going to crack open. So see, there's some lots of juices in there. We'll give that shell a clean out and a smoke as well, and we'll get some good presentation. So that can go in. Alright, these can come out. Some more gills in there. We'll probably change this water out after I get the other one broken down as well. Bring this over. Cleaning these out. Now the other thing about mud crabs, you can kind of tell whether they've been transported properly, because when they're stressed out, all their meat and that will be reduced. Obviously, humans, we lose muscle mass. Crabs have the exoskeleton, so they waste away from the inside. So if you've had an old crab or a poorly transported crab by the amount of meat that you get in there. See, it's nice and plump, translucent. Got a nice fresh smell to it. So now I'm just going to get in behind here, give it a good hard split. Obviously you can use a knife or the heavy bladed knife to do that, or the cleaver, that's the word I was looking for. So go here, number 2, same thing. Just separating that, thumb in, bit of force, removing that head. Some people eat the guts. I'm not going to yuck their yum, but I don't. This one we'll use the cleaver just for demonstration purposes. Line it up, fingers out of the way, one nice big chop, and there we go. There goes Jen's eardrums. Alright. Nice little clean out bits and pieces. I get a little bit finicky. second phone. Should have checked the battery before we started that. So I've just gotten rid of the junk, cleaned out the water, given the headers a nice little bit of clean out. So there's usually a membrane in here that houses everything else. So I've taken all that nice and clean. We'll put those through some hot water later, get them nice and red, and like I said, we'll use that for a presentation. So basically, just get our pieces in the nice clean water, give them a little clean out, because there is still, like, you know, a fine layer of mud in some of the crevices. Nice little clean. The bulb is holding. I'm going to crack those with the cleaver in a minute. I remember one time when I was an apprentice, I was cleaning up the crabs. I'd done one of these, and whether it was nerves or it wasn't quite ready to give up, it got me locked on. That was fun. Crab flew across the room after it launched off my finger. Lots of laughs. So the mud likes to get in on these joints. So you can see it's only a little bit, and it's not going to do you any harm. Once it's cooked, right? But I like to try and get as much of it off as I can. Now, I've got a little bit of a different setup in the Yoder Smoker today. There's usually a heat diffusion plate that puts the smoke up and around, but I've taken that out, and we're going to be going directly over the firebox, so you'll actually be able to see the inside of the smoker and how it works, which I thought might be a little bit interesting for everyone. Alright, that's nice and clean. The water isn't, so you can see it is worthwhile giving it that extra clean on the surface. You can use a little scrubbing brush or an old toothbrush if you want to really get in there. But like I said, get most of it off, it's not going to be a big deal. Alright, so now we're going to separate the claws. Actually, you know what? I think I'm just going to cut it down here. We'll leave some chunks and we'll crack the shell, just so it's easier for the flavors to get in there, and also the heat, the marinade, and then of course you don't really have to do any extra cracking to eat it afterwards. So just going to go in, grab the claw on the first leg, bring it in there. You don't have to chop it like I did before. You can just kind of get a nice steady purchase, and then just body weight, chop it down. Alright, claws, you want to lay them out. Alright, these ones you do just want to give like a firm little crack. You don't want it to disintegrate, you just want a nice little crack. We'll see how it goes. Blades up, Jen, don't chop the camera. So probably not exactly how I wanted it, but it happens. A little bit too much force, so I'll just give that one a little crack in there. A little crack in there. I'll try the flat of the blade on the next one. So I've got that in there. This is fine as is. These are really easy to crack open once it's cooked, and the flavour will get in there. So mainly the claws we're going to work on. First claw, leg, choppy. Let's try this. Yeah, that's nice. It's going to get right in there. Crack. And you can see that here, there's plenty of nice meat in there. I'll be gentle with that. Don't want it to rip open. I think it's been about 10 years since I've done a mud crab. It's pretty excited when my mate said, "Oh, I got some muddies, I'm gonna cook them up." I'm like, hell yes. splash zone, Jen. Alright, so we've got this nice and split open. We're going to marinate, like I said. There's some chili in there, there's some ginger, fish sauce, soy sauce, I think even some palm sugar, black pepper, all the goodness. So we're just going to drizzle that in there. I won't use all of it. I'm going to have a little bit left over here. I'm going to mix it up with some coconut cream, and I'm going to use that as like a little sauce afterwards and a little basting during cooking. So nice. Alright, so we're here at the Yoder Smoker YS640. You've got your top grate here, grills, and I've removed the heat distribution plate, which usually sits in there, that allows the smoke to come up and around all your food. So our main focus today is going to be the firebox in here. So I've got the auger in this unit where the pellets come in, they drop down, and the computer talks with the thermocouple, and that ratios the pellets and the speed of the auger, so that you can get a sort of a more consistent flow of pellets for better temperature control. So I've taken that out because we're going to go straight over the box. So that fire is going to come up. We'll start that now. So it's got a 350, that's Fahrenheit starting temp, so that basically kills anything that's in here and gets it ready for cooking. So you can see now that the pellets are starting to come down into the burn box, and the little thing in the middle is your ceramic heater, and that's going to heat up and it's going to start to catch those pellets right on there. So you can start to see the smoke. So we'll shut that lid and come back when it's ready. Alright guys, we're just going to make that quick baste here with the marinade and about 150 mils of coconut cream. So you can see here we've got the crab here, that's marinated nicely. You don't want it too long with crab or any kind of seafood really, especially when there's salt and vinegars and stuff, which there is in this marinade, because it will start to cook the meat. So super simple. I'm going to use the basting brush so I don't have to do any more dishes. It's a Sunday after all, but you could use a whisk or a blender, whatever it is that you want to choose to use. Perfect. Ready to add to the crab a little bit later on. Alright, let's go to the barbecue. Alright, so the temperature's coming up, and I just want to give you a quick look at what we're going to be cooking on open wood flame. So there you go. That's happening there. We'll go a little bit longer because it's still reaching its like sanitizing temperature. But that's what we're going on. It'll be going to be a quick flare over the open flames, and I'll move that up over to the higher spot there, so it'll cook a little bit slower. Alright, so we're going to start getting our crab. Watch out for the flames. So we're just going to get the bits of crab on. So I used to wonder why the shells went red on prawns and crabs and a few other crayfish, and apparently there's two chemicals, two proteins in the shells. One's crustacyanin, which actually ends up getting destroyed and leaves the astaxanthin in there, which turns which is orange, and that's what you get. So we're getting a nice little bit of charring on there. The marinade's getting nice and black, and you're starting to see that colour change there. to get some of this marinade here. Give it a light coat. You can smell the coconut, the sugar, the chili, lime juice that I had in there in that marinade. Bloody delicious. So I can still see when I'm moving the meat around, there's still a little bit of translucence in that crab meat, and you don't want to completely cook the crap out of it, you know. So I can see that the meat just starting to go that whitish colour. Not far off. Keep turning these around. It's just going to be caramelising and building up on the crab. So I'm just checking the crab meat here. I'm going to start moving them up here to the top, just away from that direct heat. You can see in here how that meat is starting to pull away from the shell inside. That's almost there. Alright, so we're just going to put the lid down on this for a little bit. I've turned the temperature down so that flame will stay pretty constant. We'll give it about 5 minutes and then come back to check it out. So, giving it about another 5 minutes or so, and you can see here that the meat is still kind of translucent. It's pulling away from the bone, but you can't see, there's no clear stuff. Alright, so that's where you want to call it. So we're going to take that off. Of course, once you take it off, it'll continue to cook for a little bit. Crab down. You can see here, it's nice and soft. It's cooked. It's falling off that middle cartilage inside the claw. That's ready. Thank you, Yoder. Open flame grilling. Alright, so we're just going to do up some basmati rice to go with our crab. Something that Uncle Roger would be proud of, I think. We've given it a good wash. And look at that, Uncle Roger. One finger. Okay, so I've got about 2 tablespoons of ground ginger, just done on the microplane. I'm going to do some sliced garlic, nice and thin. And then we're also going to microplane the zest of 1 lemon. At the end of the rice, when it's cooked, I'm going to put a little bit of coconut cream through it and a little bit of salt. Salt your rice at the end if you're going to do it, otherwise it interferes with the absorption process of the rice. So I'm just going to go ahead, we'll turn that on, put the ginger in, put the sliced garlic in. Zest. We'll also finish it off with some fresh shallots at the end of it, or spring onions, whatever you want to call them, and maybe a little bit of this lemon juice as well. We'll see how it goes. Alright, a light little stir in. Obviously don't scratch the bottom of your rice cooker. Lid on, cook, and away she goes. Alright, so rice is ready. I've gone ahead and put in some shallots, some chili flakes, juice of the lemon, and about 100 ml of coconut milk. And now I'm just going to give it a little stir around. Alright, hard work's done. We're going to plate this up. Start bedding that on the rice. Alright, so I've just made up a little bit more sauce with the homemade marinade and some coconut cream. And we're just going to add that in there. Soak that up with a nice steamed rice. We get the meat out. There we have it. Wood smoked, flame grilled Yoder Smoker coconut crab.